Justly Johnson and Kendrick Scott have only one person who might be their only hope to get out of a life sentence. Believe it or not, it's the son of the woman they're behind bars for murdering. C.J. Skinner was 8 years old when somebody shot his mother through the heart. He was sitting right beside her in their minivan, but nobody ever asked him if he saw who did it, until now.
Did the police ever question you?
No.
Nobody ever knew CJ was awake. Nobody knew CJ saw anything until I contacted him. This is the house right here.
Scott Lewis, a former investigative reporter in Detroit, is now a PI. He's been covering this case for 17 years, haunted by the faces of these two men behind bars.
It makes me sad that two people I believe are innocent are paying for it. And it bothers the hell out of me that at least one person, and maybe two who actually did the crime, are out there walking around.
Scott is now on a mission for justice.
What is justice in this case, Scott?
Getting the right killers behind bars, or at least releasing the two that didn't do it.
Then, a huge break in the case. The only two witnesses, Raymond Jackson and Antonio Burnett, recant their testimonies. Both men originally told the court they had overheard Justly and Kendrick talking about a robbery that didn't go as planned.
He said whatever they wanted him to say for him to say free.
Eugene Jackson says police strong-armed his brother Raymond into falsely testifying.
They kept telling him if he don't show up in court and testify to what he said he was gonna testify to, he was going to jail. And that was the biggest fear he had, of going to jail.
Attorneys for Justly and Kendrick immediately request a new trial, but the judge refuses to overturn the ruling.
It baffles me why the courts would not give these guys a new trial. I just don't understand it.
Now, more determined than ever, Scott tracks down Lisa Kendrick's oldest son, C.J. Skinner, and gets his description of his mom's killer over the phone.
How old was this man you saw shoot?
He had to be in his early 30s.
Kendrick and Justly were clean-shaven, in their 20s. C.J. describes the shooter as a man having a bushy beard, shaved hair, and a very distinctive nose.
Not huge, but I mean, like, it expanded over his face.
That description certainly doesn't match either one of these guys.
And he also said, if you show me pictures of the two guys in prison, it's them, I'll tell you it's them.
C.J. shocked Scott, telling him this was not a botched robbery.
Are you certain, CJ, that it was one person and not two?
I'm positive.
CJ told me that this man walked up to the car, fired one shot through the glass. He didn't say anything about a robbery. He didn't ask for her purse. He didn't utter a word. To me, that's not an armed robbery, that's a hit.
With that, Scott Lewis goes to get help from the Michigan Innocence Clinic at the University of Michigan Law School.
At that point, given what her son was testifying, what his affidavit said, we knew this was a huge case that we had to take.
Imran Syed, managing attorney for the Innocence Clinic, says the first step was to prove CJ could eliminate Justly and Kendrick as his mom's killers. But there's a problem getting to CJ. He's in jail, convicted of perjuring himself to protect a friend.
So, can people believe what you would say about your mother's murder if you're jailed on perjury right now?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's my mother.
The Michigan Innocence Clinic sets up a virtual lineup behind bars using photos on index cards. Among the pictures, Justly Johnson and Kendrick Scott.
We tried to do this in as unbiased a way as possible. There were 20 photos. Even the person who was holding up the photo didn't know which photo they were holding up.
After looking at all 20 photos, CJ says confidently his mother's killer is not in the group.
CJ was very sure that none of the people in this lineup, which included Justly and Kendrick, committed this crime.
Despite sworn testimony from CJ, Judge Prentice Edwards, who presided over the original trial, denies a new hearing.
One of the reasons the judge said he didn't believe CJ's testimony is CJ said I could see the face because the dome light was on. The judge said if the dome light is on, you can only see in the car. You can't see outside the car. Where's the scientific evidence for that? I think what should happen is these guys should get a new trial. They should walk out of prison, and this case should be reinvestigated and find out who really did it. And I know exactly where I'd start.
Where?
Will Kindred.
Despite what Scott thinks, police cleared him of any wrongdoing the very night Lisa was murdered.
I think for some reason, this is my opinion, I think that Will Kindred wanted to get Lisa out of the picture for some reason, and someone was paid to shoot her.
So we went to talk to the one man who could have some answers, Will Kindred, at his home outside Detroit. The lights were on, and there were cars in the driveway, but no one ever answered the door. Scott says he is still looking for another mystery man in Lisa's murder, whom he believes is the one who actually pulled the trigger.
A few minutes before Lisa was shot, a guy who went by the name Tone was walking down the street, a few houses down. There's two teenage girls sitting on the porch, and he said, "Y'all better get back in the house because some is about to go down." A couple minutes later, the girls hear a gunshot.
And CJ's description was a match.
I think if we could figure out who Tone is, we could get the real killer in this case.
It's a small glimmer of hope for Justly and Kendrick's families, who have gone 17 Mother's Days without any answers.
You can't get 17 years back. That's a lot of time to be gone away from your family.
Miss Ernestine, what would make you the happiest mother on earth on your 74th birthday?
To see my son get out of that jail for something he did not do.
And Scott says he's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
This is on my bucket list. I am going to see these guys walk out of prison. I'm going to be there when they open the doors and these guys walk out to freedom.
What are the next steps now for Johnson and for Scott?
Well, they have filed an appeal in federal court, and they're waiting to hear about that one. But you know what? They are willing to go all the way to the Supreme Court to get their case heard.
And they may well have to. Tell me, you also knocked on Will Kindred's door, trying to get some sort of comment here. Did you have any luck?
No luck. We knocked on the door several times. I even made a phone call. We got nothing. But you know what? In previous interviews, he said he has nothing at all to do with his wife's murder. And he has not been charged with connection in this case, and we want to make sure that's crystal clear.
Okay, and if you know anything at all about the murder of Lisa Kindred, you can submit a tip at our website, or you could call or text our toll-free tip line. That number is 1844 800 CRIME.